Hey guys, Ken Smith, KenSmithFishing.com. Rayburn report for this week. If you're looking for a channel this week to see an absolute whack fest of catching great big fish, this is not that channel. Rayburn is really tough right now. Water temperature is around 90, even into the low 90s. The lake's about 1.5 feet low. Let me just warn you right now, I saw guys running across the forest. I saw guys running through the canyons. Neither one of those. Amber Forest, guys running around Bird Island on the main lake side. That is all really dangerous right now. Several locals standing around at the Labor Day tournament, the weigh-in, talking about just how dangerous the lake is. There are lots of giant stumps. So all you guys were down there this spring when the water was 8 or 10 feet high. There's a lot of really bad stuff right at the waterline, right at the waterline right now. So if you don't know 100% sure where you're running it's safe, don't run it. And just because you see somebody else run it doesn't mean it's safe. If you don't know, down in my description of this on YouTube, there's a couple of playlists of Rayburn map tips that'll show you where it is and where it isn't safe to run, including waypoints. So please check those out. So before we get to the fishing this week, a couple of announcements. First off, remember, fishing license just expired. So September 1, you got to buy a new license. If you hadn't done that yet, don't go to the lake this next weekend without a license. Secondly, something that's kind of under the radar, but I saw a ton of guys that could have gotten a ticket this past weekend. Hello, Stall. That is the new law. It's called Callie's Law. It's about a young lady. The law was created based on a young lady who got killed, unfortunately, down in the Gulf. I think maybe in 2016. But basically the law says this: if you are in a 26-foot or smaller boat and the boat is underway, which I'm assuming to mean in gear, then you must have a kill switch or a wireless kill switch connected to you if your boat is equipped with one. So just know that. I saw tons of guys running around with no life jackets. I saw lots of ski boats on the water. I feel really certain. Sorry, I had a little sneeze issue there. That those people weren't wearing kill switches. So if you're out there, I don't know when they'll start writing those tickets, but I got to think they're going to start writing them pretty soon. So fishing license and Callie's Law. A couple tournaments coming up. So on the 14th at Rayburn, which is next weekend, will be the ABA Open. And then that Saturday, on Sunday, is the V&M Baits tournament. Outlaw Outdoors is putting that tournament on. Those guys right there. Where are those guys? Right there. So they're putting that tournament on. Guaranteed $5,000 if they draw 100 boats for first place, and I'm pretty certain they'll draw 100 boats. The fishing should get better anytime now. The days are getting shorter. It's not daylight till around 6:30, so you don't have to get up at 4 to go fish a tournament. But for now, the fishing's pretty tough, even though two guys three that weighed 22 pounds to win this last tournament. The following weekend then will be the 2-day BFL tournament. That'll be the next tournament I'll be down there for. So I'll be down Friday before to practice. So I'm kind of going blind squirrel on this one because we got some things to do here this weekend and next weekend that I can't get back down there. Then the following weekend will be the BassMaster College Regional that we've already talked about in the prior video. You can qualify through that tournament to go to the National Championship, and from there you can actually make it to the Classic. And then the 29th, we talked about this as well, Outlaw Outdoors has the Average Joe tournament, which is a great tournament for those of you who don't get to come to Rayburn very often. Rayburn should be fishing much better by then. I'm getting a lot of questions about grass. There is almost no grass. Matter of fact, let me show you the highlight of my weekend right here. I just came back into an area that I love to fish, and when I came through here with the graph, I could see stuff. So I pulled out my little 6 cents crankbait, and that's the most exciting thing I've hung since I've been here. Woo! That's real hydrilla, boys and girls. I found a pocket that had a little bit of grass in it, and I was so excited. The high water just killed the grass off. There's a little bit of grass scattered around in different places, but none that I found fish holding in. So I spent Saturday by myself on the water. And other than getting to throw a 6 cents crankbait at a beautiful sunrise, I didn't do much. But this footage was so great, even without a fish catch, I thought I'd stick it in here. So from there I went out and I did run across a lot of schooling fish, basically from the bridge down to Caney on all those flats. So the Caney flats, the flats behind the forest, the flats in front of Julie, all those flats, the flats out around Mud. There's just a ton of chasing fish out there in the forest as well. And what I saw was the bait fish and the fish are all up off the bottom. Just did not, and that was Saturday. And I know that the fishing had actually been pretty good even up until a couple of weeks ago. Clayton Buller and his son had 15 pounds in a tournament, 3-fish tournament. And then Clayton and Albert turned around this weekend and had 3 fish that weighed 6 pounds. So it suddenly got really tough on a lot of us. So that I did that on Saturday. Then Sunday, Brian Branham had a little bit of free time. He was about to head up to New York to do some smallmouth fishing, basically saying the fishing's really tough on Rayburn night now, so he's taking a couple of weeks off from guiding to go up there and go fun fishing with Driscoll, actually. So hope you guys are having fun up there. And then, so we went out and really we didn't catch much either. We caught, again, some schooling fish. I might have a couple of those on camera.
Look at that son of a bitch, that ain't no baby.
No baby, he said.
No mercy on the crankbait.
And then we also caught a couple of brush pile fish, but nothing to write home about. I mean, nothing really over a couple of pounds. And, you know, historically, matter of fact, Sarah had a Facebook memory come up from 3 years ago, Labor Day weekend, on her Facebook page. And I'm holding one about 7 and she's holding one about 5. So this should be a time when you're really whacking them, and it's just such that right now it's not happening. So then Dickie and I fished the Labor Day tournament on Monday, and he hadn't caught anything on Saturday or Sunday to speak of, nor had I. So we went up and tried to catch some frogfish, and that just flat didn't work. So here's the little bit of action that we had on Sunday, which is almost nothing. So that's basically it. What I'll tell you that I saw is the fish are not on the bottom. Actually, the 2 best fish we caught were these 2 fish right here.
Oh hell, that's a good fish. I think it's a good fish. I may be all wrong, but he went the other way. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know, shit.
I got a net right here.
We should just come up.
It ain't even got wet yet.
I know, just in case. He ain't going on me. You know he's hung? He's acting like it, but what's his name?
Show that into the camera.
I told you. Told you it's a good one. Is that a fish?
I think I might have one of your goos on. He ain't real big. Look at that. I don't know if y'all heard that on the camera, but I told him when I set the hook, I said, I think I may have one of your goos on. Dickie Newberry fishes on the FLW Goo Tour.
this fish?
Here on the bottom, 2 big goose. As a matter of fact, Stacy Spriggs said that her big fish Saturday or Sunday was also a goose. So I guess there's a little bit of a goo bite going on right now, but the fish are not on the bottom. The fish are suspended, which makes them really hard to catch. I'm sure somebody could take a jerk bait or something else out there that I typically wouldn't throw this year and catch them. I heard of a couple of better fish getting caught, sort of slow rolling baits. I cranked a lot and could not get bit on bottom. Gosh, I don't know what to do. I know there's some brush pile fish still getting caught, but from what I'm hearing is even those fish are up in the tops of the piles and the guys are catching them, throwing a little bit lighter weights and fishing through the tops of those piles, which is really, really hard to do if you've never done that. So all I can say is we got a lot of stuff coming up. As the water begins to cool off, we need a cool front. The fishing should get better really quick. There is a ton of schooling activity, and you can catch a lot of fish if you're interested in going out there and chasing them. You can get your wing ding, get your little square bill, 6 cents crankbait out there. I did throw a flutter spoon on them a bunch, that big flutter spoon, and had several of them whack it, but I just don't think they're big enough to eat that big flutter spoon. So it's tough. It will get better, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys and say come to Rayburn right now. We're all crushing them. It's just tough. So. If you're catching them and you're willing to share, please comment below what's going on, because I certainly struggled. And we'll be back down there a week after next, and we'll get some more footage, hopefully, of a lot better catching and a lot better fish size here in a couple of weeks. So again, thanks for tuning in. If you don't subscribe, please do. All of my reports are not this boring or with so few fish catches. You can see actually I'll put a playlist up here if you're watching on YouTube and your device allows it. In the upper corner right there, that little eye, if you're watching it where you can see that, that's my playlist of all my Rayburn reports for this year. I've got a bunch of other good stuff on my website as well. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys down at the lake in a couple of weeks. Thanks, guys.
So just, I try to talk about this every once in a while. Talked about just ideal rods for ideal setups. This is that little mock rod, and this is called the Swim Jig Swim Bait Rod. It's a model MHSJR, and that's a 7'3" rod. Now remember, I'm 6'2", 6'3", according to the convenience store I'm running out of, and it is a really ideal length and action to work a topwater. So I'm throwing that 6 cents Mad Dog topwater. And what I'm doing is I'm throwing it now. In this case, I like to throw this on cigar braid, 30-pound braid. But in this case, the reel I put on the rod this morning didn't have enough line on it. So I'm just throwing it on old 15-pound monofilament, because you want that line to float on that walking bait. Otherwise, that bait won't work right. That bait won't work right with fluorocarbon. So you either got to throw braid or mono to keep that bait up and walking. And that's an ideal little rod. It's a good action, and it's got backbone for when busted, you can get a hook in him, but it's got enough tip in it you can throw it. So if you're looking for a good topwater bait, and by the way, so remember that Mad Dog is a pretty big bait. And when you're out here chasing schoolies, sometimes you got to reach out and touch one. Threw that one to the knot, so that'll give you an idea how far that loads on that rod. Now that reel wasn't completely full of line, but that's a solid 60-yard cast. So check it out. That's a good rod and reel setup. That's a great reel, by the way. That's that TS1 SHMB reel, and this is one of the few things I've talked about this before. That's a 7:5 to 1 reel ratio, and the reason it's a fast reel is, if I'm doing that and one comes up over there, I want to get that bait in here real fast, and I want as fast a reel as I can when I'm chasing these schooling fish out here to get it back out there and catch them. So that's the one time in my mind, or one of the few times, that you want a really fast reel besides flipping. So there you go. I hope that helps.